Hello, my MFA 507 students. Welcome to Module 4. Yes, Module 4. That is one more than 3, 2 less than 6. That is Module 4. Hope everyone is doing well. So what are we doing for this module? We get to do some cool stuff. Yes, actually, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. Genre troops and theme. You're like, what? Yes. So we are going to talk about genre troops and theme. And I will kind of break it down the best I can do. So the learning objectives are basically discuss the genre or thematic style of your literary works with your peers. So basically, you have two books that you are reading in this class, and they were paired up for a reason because they either share genre tropes or they share a similar theme, sort of. Okay, or they just may share a similar genre. Okay, so you're going to, with your group, you're going to be using your two books to kind of look at one or two of these. I'm going to describe about that. Discuss genre or theme in a novel. We'll talk about that, and we're like, what is this? Things, okay. And then develop a thesis point of comparison, because we do have a paper that we get to write this semester, and this week actually. Yay, 2 to 3 page paper. You're like, oh yes, no, it's going to be fine. It's a compare and contrast paper on your two books that you are reading. So yeah, anyway, we'll get to that, so don't worry about it. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. So the module at a glance, you're going to look at your resources, participate in your group book, and then submit your paper. So the two deliverables this week are participating in your book groups and submitting your compare and contrast paper. There will be optional assignment you can do that I will post in these in over the announcements. And I will post a different video that talks specifically about theme, because I am all about theme. That's my thing. That's my ting. That's my thing is theme. And so we'll get to that. All right, so let's move on. All right, so Module 4, what else we got going on? Here's the overview. This is actually kind of fun to read, and I'll let you read through this. It talks about really how a book's cover can influence the way that you look at, people say, oh, you can't judge a book by its cover. Well, people do it all the time anyway. Here's a little hint that this doesn't really talk about, is if you get your book published through a traditional publisher, that means you submitted it through an agent, it gets submitted through a publisher and stuff like that, you will have little to no say over the covers of your book. Seriously, okay? My first few books that were, I had zero say over, and they did not match what I would have picked for myself. So just saying that's a thing. Okay, but it is a good example in this video right here that talks about how the book's cover can relate the theme of what the story is about. You're like, well, what's the theme? Well, we'll get to that. So again, read through this module overview at your own pace. Okay, the readings and resources. I have verified that all these links work this week. Woohoo! Yes. So we had some issues last week that I did send in tickets, and they said they were working on them, and I don't know if they ever got them fixed, but it is what it is. I didn't create these shells. I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you that's what it is. But I did verify all these work. Okay, and there's a couple of them here that are really, really important. So I'm not going to really break down genre tropes in a lot as far as in a separate video, but I want to talk about them just very briefly. So this is kind of fun. Tropes are basically, things that are kind of common between, different things. Let's say like a comedy trope. One of my favorite things to do is it's like, like this, growing up, because I'm old, the shows like Happy Days or The Brady Bunch or MASH or, Cheers or something like this. I'll be watching an episode and say, oh, this is the episode where this happens. Okay. And it's like, well, how do you know this happens? Well, because I watched an episode of MASH where they did the same thing. Okay. The main character, loses a bet and has to do something silly. Or someone is in desperate need for something, so they make a deal that they don't want to keep or whatever. Okay. So there's these tropes, these kind of similar storylines that often are repeated throughout genres. So that's one way to look at genre tropes. Okay. Just saying that's a thing. Okay. And then what is theme and why does it matter? This is a good, looking at this thing, it really kind of buries the lead if you understand the concept of writing. It's like, well, what is theme not? And it kind of like, what? Get to it. Okay. And basically it's down here. Theme is the deeper layer of meaning beneath what is the story surface. So it spends the first part of this article explaining what theme is not. but we really should talk about what theme is, okay? And I will have a whole video dedicated towards that that will post in the other thing. Some additional support that you can use, some more stuff on tropes down here. I would strongly suggest looking at the compare contrast, because you have to write a compare contrast paper for this module. And if you're like, oh man, I haven't written one of those in a long time, or I've never written one, this has some excellent information on writing compare contrast. Basically, comparing is how things are the same, contrasting are how things are different. For the paper you're going to be writing, you're going to be looking at elements of the two books that you're reading, and you'll pick like a trope or a theme and say, how are these two books the same, or how are these two books different, and how they are presenting that. So there is that, and we'll get to that. So there's your reading and resources. Okay, so moving on, it says again, please pay attention. So in the announcements, you'll see this video, you will see a video where I talk about theme, and then you will see, not really a video, but there is an additional assignment, a non-graded assignment, which I will post. It's about writing action scenes. Actually, I think it's a pretty good activity to do. It's one of those non-graded ones you can do just for practice. Okay, moving on. All right, so here's the first of your two deliverables. In your book group, now again, that was a little rough last week. Again, I will take full responsibility for that, because it was my first time doing a book group through Southern New Hampshire and through Brightspace and whatever. So again, you may not be reading the same books as everybody else in your book group, and that's on purpose, simply because there was no way to split that up evenly based on what everybody picked. So you may be talking about different types of books, but you're going to be really talking about a couple of things, okay? You will discuss the genre, tropes, or the theme you see in each of your paired novels using examples from the text. And this will be good to help, this will help you build and be able to write your compare contrast paper. So I would do this book group first. So basically you're going to really be kind of with your book group think, hey, when I'm looking at stuff to compare and contrast, I'm looking at these particular things in my book, and like, should I do this? And then you get some feedback from your group to say, oh, that's a good idea, or hey, I recommend this, or hey, I pointed this out, or whatever, and give examples. Okay, so that's a big thing. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing in your book group. And then last but not least is the compare contrast paper. Whoa. Okay, so here is the rubric. So let's click on this to upload the rubric. So basically, it says in this short assignment, so I love that because it is a 2 to 3 page paper in MLA formatting. So I guess that could be fairly short. Okay, you will compare or contrast one theme or genre trope you have identified in each of your paired novels using examples from the text. That's super important, examples from the text. So as you're reading, you can recognize, oh, both of these are using this kind of genre trope, or, oh, both of these are using this, have the same theme or a different theme, and here's the reasons why, giving examples from the text, okay? And again, you can kind of read through these different ideas. There's a great resource here and stuff like that. Okay, so but really, what are you supposed to do? It kind of gives you an idea of like an outline, what you can do, first to kind of clarify what you're talking about, what you've observed, and then make sure you have at least a quote from each novel. So if you look at the rubric, basically what I'm looking for are, did you make a point about the theme or genre trope in each book? In book A, the genre trope is whatever the genre trope is. In book B, it uses a different, so you would be contrasting. It uses a different genre trope, which would be this. Or it uses the same trope, and that's where you're comparing, okay? Then you would then give more information on the differences or the similarities between the two texts. In book A, it does this thing. Book B, it does this thing, and that's what. So you're basically, this is your thesis statement here. These two are different in how they're doing their theme, and then here's why, and then here's my evidence from at least one short quote from each novel to support your observation. So again, you're making a statement of what you were looking at. These two are different, or they're similar in how they do a genre trope or a theme, and then you explain why you believe that, and then you include your evidence, which is the quotes from the actual texts. And again, as long as you do these things, it'll be, I agree, across the board. So that is it for Module 4. So please make sure you go back and look at the announcements where I have more information about the stuff for this week, including a lesson on theme and also the optional lesson you will be doing. So that's it. And please email me if you have questions.